In a kingdom cloaked in shadow and shimmer, there lived a king whose heart was heavy with a beautiful, baffling mystery. He was the father of 12 daughters, each more lovely than the last, with hair like spun gold, midnight silk, and fiery sunsets. They were the light of his life, but they were also the source of his deepest confusion. Every night, the king himself would lead his 12 daughters to their grand, shared bedchamber. He would lock and bolt the door from the outside, ensuring they were safe and sound. Yet, every single morning, a bewildering sight awaited him. Lined up by the door were 12 pairs of dancing shoes, once made of the finest silk and satin, now tattered and torn, with holes worn straight through their soles, as if they had been danced in for miles and miles. How could this be? The windows were barred, the door was sealed. No one entered, and no one left. It was a perfect, impossible puzzle. The king, his patience worn as thin as the soles of his daughter's shoes, made a grand proclamation that echoed through every city and village in his realm. "Whosoever can discover the secret of where my daughters dance in the night," he declared, "shall choose one of them for his bride and shall be heir to my throne." But he added a stern warning: anyone who tries and fails after 3 days and 3 nights shall forfeit their life. The allure of a princess and a kingdom was too great to resist. Princes with proud banners and knights with gleaming armor arrived at the palace. They were given a small chamber next to the princess's bedroom, tasked with staying awake to watch and listen. But each night, a strange, heavy weariness would fall upon them. The eldest princess would bring them a cup of wine, a simple gesture of hospitality, and soon after, they would fall into a slumber so deep that not even a cannon's roar could stir them. In the morning, they would awaken, groggy and defeated, to the sight of 12 more pairs of ruined shoes. Many brave men tried, and many brave men failed, their fates sealed by the king's solemn promise. The story of the dancing princesses and the terrible price of failure spread across the land, until few dared to even try. One day, a poor soldier, returning from war with nothing but a few coins and an honorable heart, was traveling through the kingdom. He came across an old woman in the woods who asked him for a piece of bread. He shared his meager rations without a second thought. Pleased by his kindness, the old woman's eyes twinkled with a secret knowledge. "I know of the king's dilemma," she whispered, handing him a dull gray cloak. "This is no ordinary cloak. When you wear it, you will become invisible to all eyes. But heed my warning. When the princesses offer you wine in the evening, do not drink a drop. Pretend to fall asleep, and you will see wonders beyond your imagination." The soldier, with nothing to lose and a kingdom to gain, thanked the woman and made his way to the palace. He was not as grand as the princes before him, but his eyes held a quiet determination that intrigued the king. He was accepted. That evening, he was led to the antechamber. As predicted, the eldest princess, with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes, brought him a cup of spiced wine. Remembering the old woman's words, the soldier cleverly let the wine trickle down into a small sponge hidden beneath his chin. He then leaned back in his chair and soon began to snore, loudly and convincingly, as if he were in the deepest of sleeps. The 12 princesses, hearing his snores, began to giggle. "This one is no smarter than the others," they whispered. They rose and unlocked their chests, bringing out gowns of starlight, moonlight, and dazzling jewels. They adorned themselves, their faces alight with an eager, secret joy. Only the youngest princess seemed uneasy. "I don't know why," she said, "but I feel as if something is not right tonight." "You are a goose," scolded the eldest. "It is only the sound of his snoring." Once they were ready, the eldest princess walked to her own bed. She knocked upon it, and to the soldier's astonishment, the bed sank into the floor, revealing a hidden trapdoor and a flight of stairs leading down into the earth. One by one, the princesses descended into the darkness. The soldier, who had seen everything, waited a moment before throwing on his magical cloak. Now invisible, he hurried after them. On the stairs, he accidentally trod on the hem of the youngest princess's gown. She cried out in alarm. "What was that? Someone is holding my dress!" But the eldest once again dismissed her fears. The staircase opened into a breathtaking avenue of trees, but these were no ordinary trees. Every leaf was crafted from pure, glittering silver, and they chimed like 1,000 tiny bells in an unfelt breeze. The soldier, wanting proof, broke off a small twig. The sound it made was like a crack of thunder in the enchanted silence. "Did you hear that?" the youngest princess cried again, her heart pounding. The eldest princess insisted it was merely the sound of celebratory salutes from their secret castle. They walked on and came to a second forest, where every leaf was made of shimmering gold, and beyond that, a third, where the trees were laden with dazzling, brilliant diamonds. Each time, the soldier broke off a branch as proof, and each time, the sharp crack terrified the youngest princess, while her sisters ignored her pleas. Finally, they arrived at the shore of a vast subterranean lake. Moored there were 12 small boats, and in each boat sat a handsome prince waiting for them. Each princess joined her prince, and the soldier, quick as a thought, slipped into the boat with the youngest princess and her partner. The prince in her boat was confused. "The boat feels so much heavier tonight," he grumbled. "I must row with all my strength to keep up." The youngest princess could only tremble, feeling the strange weight and the unseen presence beside her. Across the lake stood a magnificent castle, lit by 1,000 luminous crystals, from which poured the most enchanting music the soldier had ever heard. They entered a grand ballroom where hundreds of other princes and princesses danced. The 12 sisters joined them, dancing with wild abandon, their feet flying across the marble floors, their laughter echoing through the magical hall. They danced and danced until the first light of dawn threatened to break, until their shoes were utterly destroyed. The princes rowed them back across the lake. This time, the soldier was so tired that he remained in the boat as it docked, allowing the princesses to go on ahead. He ran past them, up the diamond, gold, and silver staircases, and reached the antechamber first. When the 12 sisters, weary and slow, finally made their way up the stairs, they heard him snoring loudly in his chair. "We are safe," they sighed in relief, and putting away their fine clothes, they placed their ruined shoes by the door and fell into a deep sleep. The soldier did not sleep. He now held the key to the mystery. He decided to see the magic one more time, and then a third, to be absolutely certain. Each night he followed them. Each night he gathered more proof, including one of the golden goblets from which they drank in the enchanted castle. On the morning of the third day, the king summoned the soldier before him. "Well?" the king demanded, his voice a mixture of hope and doubt. "Have you discovered where my daughters dance their shoes to ruin each night?" "I have, your majesty," the soldier said calmly. The 12 princesses stood behind a screen, listening, their faces pale, certain he would say he had seen nothing. The soldier did not spin a tale. He simply presented his proof. "They go down through a secret passage," he began, and he produced the silver twig. "They walk through a forest of silver trees." He then showed the king the golden branch, and a forest of gold. Finally, he revealed the diamond branch, and a forest of diamonds. He told them of the lake, the 12 princes, and the enchanted castle. As his final piece of evidence, he placed the golden goblet on the table before the king. The king called for his daughters. Seeing the proof, they knew their secret was discovered, and they confessed everything. The king turned to the soldier. "You have kept your side of the bargain," he said. "Now, which of my daughters will you take for your wife?" The soldier, a practical man, replied, "I am not a young man anymore. I will have the eldest." And so, the spell that had bound the princesses was broken. The soldier married the eldest princess and was named heir to the entire kingdom. And as for the underground castle and the 12 enchanted princes, they were never seen or heard from again, fading back into the realm of dreams from whence they came.